I thought, well, I had a problem. We lost power due to a storm, and my UPS failed. And unfortunately, um, my web server, which was running Ubuntu, um, crashed. It, kind of a weird crash where all I was getting was a black screen flashing. Now the web server, so Apache was still up and running. Everything seemed okay except I couldn't get into the machine. So I figured that was a good time to upgrade. So I went from a Core Duo uh, to a like first gen i5. It's an old laptop that I had, but it at least has a battery that still works in it, and it's pretty good. Um, anyway, I thought I would make a video on installing um, Apache. So next time this happens, I just watch my own video on how to do it, and then I know it's going to be done right the first time. Also, there's a little extra plus here. I'm actually going to have this machine, which is the old web server, actually configured and ready to go, where all I will have to do is get into my router and give this a static IP which matches my web server. All the traffic will be forwarded. Um, Unplug, plug, turn on. I'm back up and running. So anyway, what I am using right now is Ubuntu. It is the latest version, latest long-term support version, 20.04, I believe. Anyway, I've already installed it, and sorry for the moving camera. Sorry to the future me for the moving camera. There is Ubuntu up and running. Not sure if I can see it. But what I'm going to do is I've already installed it. So first thing I have to do is actually update, then install Apache. So I'm going to do that from the command line. So I simply go to Terminal. That's in Ubuntu Apps. Have it come up. And first thing I'm going to do is sudo apt update. So I am up to date. It's going to ask me for the password. And then it is working, blah, blah, blah. It's going through. And it is downloading quite a few packages. And it just simply looks like that. So the command was sudo apt update. I don't know if I can actually, maybe I can actually focus on the screen so I can actually see what I'm doing while I'm talking. So let me switch cameras here. Okay, at this point it has gone out and has done that. So now I am actually going to be ready to install Apache. Let me just clear the screen here so maybe it's a little easier for me to read in the future. So it's sudo apt install Apache 2. So sudo apt install Apache 2. Hit enter. It's reading the package, doing all its little thing. And do I want to do this? Yes, I do. And now it's fetching all of those items. Now that that's done, I'm actually going to show myself what the default um, websites are. And actually, if I look at the files here, the computer's a little slow. Actually, it's a lot slow. Go to others, go to this computer. In etc, I will see that Apache 2 is there. And actually, inside Apache 2, there are sites available, sites enabled. Okay, and what we're going to do, the sites available has a default config file. Sites available has this and the SSL site. So we're actually going to go into the sites enabled, and what I want to do is simply make a copy of this file. So I can go copy, and oh, paste is not there. That's because I am not the owner of this folder. So I have two options. I can either change the ownership to the user, in which case I can then use the GUI interface, or I can simply go back into terminal and do that. Now I'm going to do it through terminal, but I will later go in and change the ownership of the HTML file, so I actually have access to copy the folder in, so all my web pages can get copied in. So what I want to do is go to, it's really hard typing around the camera without hitting the camera. It helps if you can spell. Sites available. Okay, now that I'm in there, I'm simply going to copy. So I'm going to copy the 000 default config file into a config file that I'm going to use for my website. So my website is actually slow1.no-ip.info.conf. So now, if I look in that directory, I actually have slow1 config file in there. At that point, I need to modify that config file so it knows where to look. So again, I'm going to use nano and open it. slow1.no-ip. Looks like all the letters are on the same side of the keyboard as the camera is. So now the virtual host is now open, and it's telling me a number of things here. Okay, so what I want to do is actually come down here, and I'm going to leave the document root the same, because I'm just going to use the default location, because I don't really care. Now, if I were hosting, for example, DRK beads, I would add another default host I would add another config file for it, and I would change its document root to something else, to maybe DRK beads. But the server admin is my email. I am also going to add a server name. Now, I don't need this right at the moment, but if for some reason down the road I wanted to add another DNS name, that's where this would come in handy. But I'm going to do it now just to save me later. So server name space slow one, can't spell it, dot no dash IP dot info. So that is my server name for this. Now at this point I am ready to close the file, save this config file. So that is Control O to write it out. Write it out to that file, yes, and then exit. I believe if you do Control Exit, it also will ask if you want to save it. At this point, I'm going to disable the default web browser location and enable mine, which is actually going to be in the same spot. It's just going to be named a little different. So let me disable that one. So sudo e2dis space 000 dash default dot config. And maybe we should stretch this out so we can actually see like the whole line. Did I not type it correctly? I didn't. I used O's instead of zeros. Duh. Alright, here's the arrow. Let's come up and fix these. Okay. And now we will right now what that's telling me is that I have to reload Apache for that to take effect. But what I want to do, so I only have to run it once, is I'm going to enable the other one. So sudo a2 enable site space slow one dot no dash IP dot info dot con config. Okay, do that. Now that site is now enabled, but I have to reload that. So system ctl reload APACHE2. And now that is up. So if I go to the website, well, actually, if I go to the IP address, I'm in here to settings. Boy, I think I'm really glad I got the i5. Because this is actually running really slow. Okay, so it should be that IP address. Let me go to that IP address. Hit enter. And I'm going to go to the other computer here. You will see the Apache website is up and running, and it works. Now going to put my website on there. I need to put the website that I want into this folder. Hopefully I can read it. It's var folder www. Inside that there's one HTML. That's the default that I actually had in the config file. But I want to put something in here, but you see I can't paste anything. I want to be able to do it easily. So I want to be able to simply plug a flash drive in, like I did right here, and then just drag the files over instead of doing it manually, just because I do. So I'm going to change the owner of this folder. So what I want to do is I'm just going to go here. Now if you look what's in there, the only thing that's in there is that HTML file. If you want to find out who you are, one way is right up here. So the user for this is actually Dell. But if I didn't know that, who, can't spell again, who am I? Oh, it tells me I am Dell. So what I want to do is change this directory owner to Dell so I can simply copy and paste without a lot of trouble. Sudo space change own. It's going to be Dell, and that's going to be now. It should be, as a super admin, I've changed the owner to Dell of this directory. So now, if I come in to example to the flash drive, let's go to the flash drive, and let's just say this, and actually I might as well just take all of the files and folders, so the entire website is actually there. So I'm going to copy that, go in here, and then paste. So now that is just going and pasting the website, and in a moment when that's done, I'm going to have to wait a little bit, I'll show myself on the other screen that that is the website that is up and running. I'll be back when this is done. Okay, at this point, want to check the status of Ubuntu's firewall. So right now it is inactive, so might be a good idea to enable the firewall. So we're going to do that. Let me take care of that too. Sudo Ubuntu firewall enable. Firewall is active and enabled on startup. So now if we do the status, it should say that it is active. Now that I have the firewall active, this is what happens when you try to go to the web page. The site cannot be reached. That's because the firewall is up. Okay, so now I want to, so what I did, I forgot to put sudo in front of that. And so the availability ones are Apache, Apache Full, Apache Secure, Cups. We're going to run Apache Full. So I'm going to cheat and let's try to get all the spellings correct this time. There we go. Rule is added. So now when I go to the IP address, there it is, and I can go to whatever it is I want. So now the web page now works and is ready to go live. The only thing I would need to do yet is install the Let's Encrypt certificate. Do that with Certbot and should be good to go.